What is going on? I'm going to be showing you 3 of the most carried pocket knives that I own. So starting off, this is my designated work carry. Yes, it is a budget knife, but this is an extremely amazing quality knife for the price. I think you can get these on Amazon for like $20 to $30. This is the Reich, let's see here, P662B. Now they have this same model with a different blade shape. This one has more of a Wharncliffe blade shape, which is extremely sleek. And as you can see, I do use this on a fairly regular basis. It has the 14C28N blade steel with the satin finish, and then the scales are G10, which are pretty ergonomic. The pocket clip is recessed, and the screws are also recessed into the scales. The clip is not reversible, which is not a huge deal to me. I am right-handed, so if you're left-handed, it might not be the best option for a work carry. Now, one issue I've had with this clip is that when I first was carrying it, the clip got bent and I had to take it off and re-bend it back into position. And since then, I have not had an issue with it, and I do carry this 3 to 4 days a week. We have the super sleek thumb stud, which works pretty well. We have the nice crowned rounded off blade stock, which looks very sleek and premium for this knife, for the price of this knife. I do like 14C28N. It is a cheap, more budget steel, but you can actually sharpen it to a very fine edge, similar to the fineness of like 20CV and M390. Now obviously it's softer, so it's not going to be able to hold that edge for nearly as long, but this steel is extremely easy to sharpen. The liner lock has a little access cut out for it. It's extremely easy to get to. The thumb stud action is pretty easy and satisfying. The ergonomics are on point, and I'm impressed by the ergonomics for the price. We have the nice crowned chamfering on the blade stock, which is also something I'm impressed by for the price. Now this one here, I'm sure you've definitely heard of the Demco 8020.5. This is the version with the AUS 10A steel. Then we have the aftermarket GOAT aluminum scales, which are coated, by the way, and these scales look absolutely sweet. You can get these for $100 for the set. That does include the back spacer. They have several different patterns and colors for their scale options, which I highly would recommend if you are looking to get a different set of scales for the 8020.5 that isn't the freaking Grivery, because the Grivery scales that came on this, I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, they work, you can hold them, they have decent ergonomics, but they're just plasticky, cheap feeling, and these scales definitely upgrade the knife. So yeah, the blade is AUS 10A steel, which is kind of a more budget steel option, but it is pretty easy to sharpen, which I like about it, and it is a pretty decent steel for, like, a lot of people are complaining about the steel quality for the price, but I don't think it's a terrible steel. This version has the drop point blade. You can also get this knife with the Wharncliffe, aka Shark's Foot is what Demco is calling it, which kind of makes sense because we got the shark lock here, which is that is pretty much how it works. Extremely innovative lock design. Probably my favorite lock design on the market. Extremely fidgety. You can deploy the blade from the lock very easily. You also have the fuller here, which lends itself to the reverse flick extremely well, and then you can also reverse flick from the thumb stud. You can do the thumb flick fairly easily. Now I have dropped this on concrete once, and that's what that little scuff is from. Kind of sad. Not a huge deal though. And I have been thinking about upgrading and getting the more premium quality version of this knife, which has the titanium scales and the CPM 3V blade. Definitely a huge upgrade that would be, but those go for like $300, I believe, on DLT trading. They have a couple different patterns for the titanium. They go like the orange peel. And then the last knife I'm going to be talking about, this is the Kershaw Highball XL. This is the Smoky Mountain Knives Work exclusive version. The original Highball XL has the little blue accents and the blade is actually in D2, whereas this is S35VN. And I have actually heard that this knife is just overall so much better than the D2 version. The action is more smooth from my understanding, which the action is very smooth, almost completely drop shut. Not quite there, but super satisfying. Probably one of the most easy blades to deploy, and the only method of deployment is from the fuller, which kind of blows my mind considering I have not seen any knife that the only method of deployment is from the fuller. So this is a designated reverse flick knife. Now you can do the thumb flick if you get used to it. It's just not probably made for that. It's not quite as ideal. So yes, we have the S35VN drop point blade with the stone-washed finish. We have the nice jimping along the blade stock of the blade. We have this little bit of finger choil for choking up if need be for precise cutting. The lock bar is extremely accessible with that little bit of access cut for it. Extremely lightweight knife, very good for just... This is an amazing knife for EDC. The pocket clip is not recessed into the scales, but the screws are recessed into the clip. The clip is reversible and deep carry. The scales are titanium, which the ergonomics are quite amazing. Some people might think that this is a more thinner design for the handle, but I personally have a little bit of thinner fingers, and I personally like the thinner handled knives I have found. So, and we have a pretty unique like backspacer on here, which I don't normally see backspacers like that, but I'm a fan of it. This is probably the best knife that Kershaw has ever made, in my opinion. Out of any other Kershaw knife I have handled, this thing is damn near perfect. And honestly, this is probably my favorite pocket knife that I own for a few reasons. And you know what's crazy? This thing brand new, I'm not really 100% sure if you can get them brand new, but brand new you can get these for like $100. And I own knives that I spent $500 on. And I like this knife more than any other knife that I've handled. I love the reverse flick, I love the ergonomics, I love the lock bar access, I love the overall look and design, and just the solid feel of this knife. I love S35VN steel, one of my favorite steels for just overall EDC tasks. Let me know out of these three knives you're most likely to carry or purchase. Thanks for stopping by, and peace.